Hey everybody, this is Anthony from VR Game Rankings. Welcome to our very first YouTube video. Now you might be wondering, why is VR Game Rankings doing YouTube videos? Well, the thing is, we've had a number of people that have sent us a message saying it would be a good idea if we actually made a video about our top 20 rankings, kind of going over the games, talking about the rankings, and breaking down the top 20. We have a top 20 for Oculus Rift. We have a top 20 for the HTC Vive. We have a top 20 for PlayStation VR. We have top 20 lists for the best wave shooters, for the best VR multiplayer games. We have all kinds of rankings and lists at vrgamerankings.com. Make sure to go to www.vrgamerankings.com for all of this information. But what we're also going to do now is we're going to do these YouTube videos, which will allow us to go over the most recent rankings that have been posted on the website. Now, these are real VR gamers like you and me that go to our website and they submit their rankings. They submit what they think are the 20 best Oculus games, or the 20 best PlayStation VR games, or the 20 best HTC Vive games. We take all their information, we take their rankings, and what we do is we have a point system that awards points based on where games are ranked on your list. But another very big component of it, and probably even a bigger component really, is the fact that if there's certain games that keep showing up on multiple submission forms, those games tend to get ranked higher because they earn extra points for how many lists they show up on. And what our rankings are to be used for is really for new VR gamers that are coming aboard. Every single day, we have new people buying an Oculus Rift, an HTC Vive, or a PlayStation VR. And these brand new VR gamers are excited. They're enthusiastic about jumping on the VR bandwagon, but they might not know what the best games are. And that's what VR Game Rankings is all about. We take advantage of our community to try to dial down and figure out what are the best VR games that are currently available right now. And we have top 100 lists. We have a top 100 Oculus, top 100 HTC Vive, top 100 PlayStation VR. And you can go and look at these lists. And just looking at these lists, you can get a really good idea of what the best games out there for VR are. You can also click on the individual games, and usually we will either have a review or a preview of the game. Now, our reviews are completely unrelated to the rankings. It's something that we provide so that VR consumers have a little bit more information, but they're completely unrelated to the actual rankings. The rankings are what VR gamers submit to the website. And you can go ahead and submit your own rankings as well. Be sure to go to www.vrgamerankings.com and submit your own rankings. Now, this particular video, we're going to talk about the most recent Oculus Top 20 rankings. And this was just updated on September 22nd. And we had a lot of great submissions from a lot of Oculus Rift owners about what are the absolute best Oculus Rift games out there. What is the cream of the crop for the Oculus Rift? And so I'm going to go ahead and go over the top 20 Oculus Rift games, and we're going to go ahead and start off at number 20. Now, number 20 is Project Cars. Now, Project Cars 2 just came out a couple of days ago. We're still kind of getting a feel for how good this game is or isn't, but Project Cars 2 is not on this list. This is Project Cars. Now, when I think of Project Cars, I really am not a big-time racing guy. For me, personally, I like more of arcade-style racers, and Project Cars is a little bit too simmy for my cup of tea, basically. But Project Cars is one of the best racing games out there. There's no question. You have Assetto Corsa, you have Dirt Rally, you have the first Project Cars, and now you have Project Cars 2 as well. So one of the complaints I've always heard about this first version of Project Cars from a VR standpoint is that VR didn't seem like it was integrated quite as well as you would like it to be, and that it's poorly optimized, and you need like such a beast of a rig to get it to run correctly. You got to change all the settings to the perfect settings. You get lots of complaints about that, but at the same time, this game is ranked in the top 20 for a reason. There's a reason that this game has jumped back into the top 20, and it's because it still provides a lot of high impact entertainment for a lot of VR gamers out there, especially the ones that have steering wheels and they really get into it and they're totally absorbed into it. A lot of these guys have 1080 Ti's, so they're able to play Project Cars at a pretty good frame rate. They're able to maybe super sample a little bit and get the settings dialed in. So Project Cars is the number 20 game. So now let's go to number 19. Number 19 is 11 Table Tennis VR. Now this game is being developed by 4 Fun Labs, and one of the interesting things about this game is it's only $10. This is a ping pong game, and we have a lot of ping pong games in VR. However, 11 Table Tennis is easily considered one of the better ping pong games that you'll find out there. 11 Table Tennis has very good physics. When you're hitting the ball and the ball hits your paddle, it all feels good. It works well. It has multiplayer. There's a lot of nice things going on here. And then again, let's go back to the price, $10. But this is easily one of the best ping pong or table tennis games that you will find in VR. The other one that gets a lot of comparison to 11 Table Tennis is Virtual Sports. Virtual Sports has ping pong and tennis, I believe, like actual real tennis. Some people actually prefer Virtual Sports compared to 11 Table Tennis, but 11 Table Tennis is always getting just great reviews from everybody. The community really loves this game. There's always multiplayer action to be had. So many people own this game, and 11 Table Tennis has been one of the early darlings of virtual reality. You know, a small developer that has crafted a really nice, high quality game. But 4 Fun Labs has done such a great job with this game. It's only $10. It's not hard to understand why this game has hit number 19 on the Oculus Top 20. Okay, so now we're at number 18, Obduction. Obduction is coming in there at number 18. Now, you guys might have remembered Myst. And Obduction is actually created, I believe, by the original developers of Myst. And when it comes to VR, this type of point and click game is actually perfectly suited for VR. VR is such a great medium for walking around, exploring an environment, taking your time. You don't need to be rushed. A lot of people wonder why VR doesn't have as much fast action, because you don't really need to have a tremendous amount of fast action. You are in a virtual world. It is completely surrounding you. You want to take your time. You want to soak it all in, and you want to feel like you're in this different place. And puzzle games are great for this. We talk about walking simulators and these types of games. They're absolutely wonderful for VR because VR is all about atmosphere. It's all about that vibe. And that's what you get with a game like Obduction, which is made by Cyan Inc. And this is a game that has recently come to PlayStation VR as well, although I believe that the VR version of it has not quite came to, it came to the PlayStation 4, but I don't think the VR version has been released yet, but it is expected. This is also, of course, available on the HTC Vive as well. Some people have complained about some performance issues with this game. I can't remember if it's been updated recently or not, but you might want to take a look at that before possibly jumping on this game. But Obduction is a solid game, and this genre just works so well in VR. It's just the way it is. Okay, let's go to number 17. Number 17 is Raw Data by Survios. Now, I have to admit, it is surprising to me to see Raw Data way down here at number 17, because not the most recent HTC Vive ranking, but the one previously, the ranking that we had in August, Raw Data was ranked the #1 HTC Vive game. Now, it slipped. It's now at #2, slipped really far. But on this Oculus Top 20, it's kind of surprising to me. This game is down here at #17. Now, I'm not sure what the reason is. It might be because this game was more associated with the HTC Vive, and early on when it came to the Oculus Rift, maybe it wasn't quite optimized very well. And then if you only have 2 sensors, this game might not be quite as playable. So Oculus owners that have 3 sensors or 4 sensors are probably having an absolutely wonderful time with raw data. If you only have 2, it could be a little bit more difficult. That's really the only reason I can think of why raw data would be down here at 17. Now, it's still in the top 20, and all of these games being in the top 20 is a beautiful thing for any one of these developers, any one of these publishers. To get this kind of respect is wonderful. But I don't know, for me, raw data is like a top 5 VR game, and to see it down at 17 is a little bit surprising, but this is the way the rankings work. Whatever happens, happens. It's always interesting to take a look at these rankings. So let's go ahead and take a look at number 16. Number 16 on the list is BlazeRush by Targem Games. Targem, not sure how to pronounce that developer, but number 16 is BlazeRush. And I'll tell you what, I was really late to the party with BlazeRush. I did not have an Oculus Rift until very recently. When Oculus had their big sale and they dropped the price dramatically, I saw the sale and I was like, you know what? This is just too good to be true. I'm going to go ahead and buy myself an Oculus Rift so I can enjoy all these Oculus games natively. And BlazeRush is one of the games that I touched a little bit through Revive with my HTC Vive. Didn't really play it too much. But once I got my Oculus Rift and I started playing a lot more Oculus games, I went back and I took a look at BlazeRush, and I'm so glad that I did. BlazeRush is easily one of my most entertaining VR games, period. Okay, now this is a third-person game, and some people have a problem with third-person games. Some people want every single game to be 100% immersive, where you're inside that world, you're holding a sword, you're holding a shield, and the entire world surrounds you. BlazeRush doesn't work like that. First of all, BlazeRush, if I were to compare it to something, the closest comparison I can think of is Rock and Roll Racing back on the Super Nintendo. Yes, Rock and Roll Racing. If anybody remembers that, that is a deep cut, but that's actually what I feel when I'm racing my little car around that BlazeRush world. And I have to say, this is a game where you sit down and you're using a regular controller to play it, but the world is so close to you. You see these cars moving around, and for me, what it looks like, it almost looks like little holograms like in front of me that are moving around. I feel like I have a Magic Leap headset on and I'm seeing little holograms race around, and they're so close and they're so detailed. And it's so magical. I could only imagine if I could have grabbed myself from the early 90s playing Rock and Roll Racing on the Super Nintendo and said, guess what? You're going to be playing this game called BlazeRush. You're going to be in the game like you're a giant invisible Godzilla that is sitting next to this racetrack, and you're holding an Xbox controller and you're racing these little cars around the tracks. And there's so many different modes. There's so many different options. The other great thing about BlazeRush is this is one of the cheapest Oculus Rift games you're going to find. I believe the normal price for this game is $9.99, but very often this game will be on sale and it will be even cheaper. I think for any Oculus owner out there, if you have the slightest interest in third-person gaming, if you're okay with being in that VR world and having it take place in front of you, but you don't necessarily have to be down on the track physically there yourself, there's so much to enjoy about BlazeRush. It's one of our favorites here at VR Game Rankings. That comes in at number 16. Okay, number 15, Star Trek Bridge Crew. Now, a couple of months ago when this game first hit, this was all the rage. Everybody was playing Star Trek Bridge Crew. It really created a sensation around it. So many people were into it. So many people were having great fun with this game. As you can see, it has slipped down to number 15. And part of that is games come out, they've been out for a while. There's that initial phase of hype and excitement. And then after a little while, that phase of excitement and hype tends to die down a little bit. And that's kind of what's happened here with Star Trek Bridge Crew. But there is some good news. The price has dropped recently. So if you were holding off on this game because it's a little bit on the pricey side, the price has come down. Red Storm Entertainment, the developer of this game, they developed Werewolves Within. Then when they were done with that, they started working on this Star Trek Bridge Crew. And I really think that Red Storm Entertainment is got the right idea here when it comes to multiplayer. They're putting you in situations where you work together. It's fun, it's camaraderie, you're having a great time. Even if you get your Starship Enterprise destroyed because everybody made a whole bunch of mistakes, you're having a great time while you do it. So many people actually play this game and they enjoy an adult beverage or two because it's that kind of game. You have a lot of fun, it's a lot of excitement. And Star Trek Bridge Crew is a very solid title at number 15 on this Oculus Top 20. Now we are at number 14. And this is one that I'm really passionate about, Killing Floor Incursion. Now, Killing Floor Incursion is at number 14, and you might think, well, man, that's not that high, but we have to remember, this is the first rankings that Killing Floor Incursion has shown up on. Killing Floor Incursion was not out when we did the last Oculus Top 100 ranking, and so Killing Floor Incursion is debuting at number 14, which is incredibly solid. That is really good. We normally do not see games that debut this high, but Killing Floor Incursion has proven to be one of the better games that are out there. Now, one of the things I have to say about Killing Floor Incursion is, man, this game will bombard your senses with dread, with fright, with terror, with a sense of overwhelming. Man, I don't even know how to explain it. I just know that when I'm in this game, I really feel that fight or flight type of situation when I have a bunch of zombies that are approaching me. And some of these zombies, they come up to you and they're stomping and they look like they're so pissed off and they just want to smash the living crap out of you. It's a visceral thrill. I mean, if you were to look up the word visceral in the dictionary, it should have a picture of Killing Floor Incursion right there. I know visceral is one of the most played out terms of all time, and it's even more played out with VR because, let's be honest, some of these VR games really are visceral because the action is right up there in your face. You're in the game, and that's what it's like with Killing Floor Incursion. If there's one thing that might be holding back Killing Floor Incursion from tremendous success is I happen to know there's a lot of VR gamers out there. They will get into a game like this and they simply won't be able to handle it. It's a little too much terror. It's a little too much fright. You have these zombies that are just coming at you full speed, relentlessly. They just want to take you the hell out. And when you're in the game and when you feel like you're in there, it is so much more visceral. It really is. It truly is. So Killing Floor Incursion, I love this game. I think it's really good. Now, there are some bugs. I've encountered a number of bugs in this game that have caused me to have to completely replay certain scenarios to get past the next level. So there is a little bit of jank here, but Tripwire Interactive continues to work on this game. And it does offer co-op play, and there are a lot of options that you can go into in the menus, change your options up a little bit. But I really love Killing Floor Incursion. I can't recommend it enough. If you can deal with horror to a degree, you got to try this game out. It's a really good one. Okay, so let's go to number 13. Number 13 is Chronos. And there's a very good reason that this game perpetually ends up in the top 20 Oculus Rift games, even though this game has been available forever. We're talking about Gunfire Games, a very talented developer, and Chronos basically is, well, some people have said it has a little bit of a Dark Souls vibe to it. It's kind of this third-person action adventure. You see your character on the screen. The way it works is, from a VR standpoint, you are like a ghost that is in the corner of the room, and you have your Xbox controller and you're controlling your adventurer in this colorful, vibrant world that is just absolutely beautiful. But you're in the corner and you have a very fixed perspective. And so when your character is running around, you're in that corner, that's the viewpoint you see. Now, when your character runs into another room, then you are transported into that room and you're in another fixed location. And you can move your character around. You can bring him closer to you where he looks big, tall, full-sized human character right there. Or if he's farther away from your vantage point, he's much smaller and you're battling these other enemies. And really the star of the show for Chronos, as far as I'm concerned, it's atmosphere. This game is absolutely dripping with atmosphere. If I played this game on a regular flat monitor, like normal style third-person gaming, I'm not sure that there would be anything about this game that would take it to some next level. It's just another third-person action game, right? But when you put it in VR, it's the color, it's the vibrancy, it's that atmosphere, it's the lighting. Gunfire Games did a very outstanding job with this game. I really think that people out there that simply will not play third-person games in VR, man, you guys are throwing the baby out with the bathwater, because Chronos is such a great game. Now, this game has been a bit pricey at times. I'm not sure I would pay $39.99, quite honestly, for a third-person action-adventure type game like this, but this game has gone on sale. I know it's been $19.99 a couple of times, and whenever it drops down to that $20 price, I think Chronos is absolutely a grab. It is always in the top 20. It is always represented, and right now it's represented at number 13. Okay, so number 12 on the Oculus Top 20 is an interesting pick. We have Alien Isolation. Now, this is not officially a VR game. This game actually is one of these games where you can get the game and you can add a VR mod that somebody has created. You have to download some files. You have to take the file and copy it into the game folder and do a couple of minor little things to get this up and running. But from what I understand, it works out very well. Now, here's the thing about Alien Isolation. Alien Isolation was made by Creative Assembly for Sega as part of the Alien franchise. And what it does is it puts you in this environment where you are running down these hallways and you're being chased by a xenomorph. You're being chased by one of the aliens, and it's, again, visceral. You know, that's the word, visceral. But this is truly visceral, and now it is in VR, and you want to talk about just being scared to death. This is the type of game that can make you scared to death, and it can really put you in that environment. Now, here's the thing. There is some jank. This is not official. This is not an officially done VR mod by Creative Assembly and Sega. This is completely unofficial. You can get the game, you can add the mod, you can get in here and you can experience it, but there is going to be a little bit of jank here and there. There is going to be some things that don't quite work out because it really wasn't designed for that. But at the same time, if you love horror, if you played Killing Floor Incursion and you said, yeah, bring it on, and you love that game and it didn't freak you out, and now you need a new horror fix, Alien Isolation VR mod, this is ranked at number 12. For this game to be ranked in the top 20 as a VR mod, there were so many people that had this game number 1 on their rankings list, and that's how this ended up at number 12. So there's a lot of people extremely excited about this Alien Isolation game. I actually have not played this. I'll be completely honest with you. I have not played this. Honestly, I'm a little scared to play it. I like horror games in VR. It's exciting. Got so much energy when you're in VR. I mean, you can get scared and you can feel that flight or fight response that is so powerful. But I don't know, the idea of going down a creepy hallway with one of those aliens is just a little bit too much for me. So I have actually not played this, but man, it is getting such rave reviews from everybody. That's Alien Isolation at number 12. Number 11 is Echo Arena. And of course, Echo Arena is the multiplayer component for Lone Echo, which is, of course, made by the same developer, Ready at Dawn. Now, originally, we were just going to get Lone Echo, and Lone Echo was going to have a single-player mode, and it was going to have a multiplayer mode, and the multiplayer mode was going to be Echo Arena. But what happened is, as this game continued to be developed and continued to be polished, it became obvious to both Ready at Dawn and to Oculus that the multiplayer component of this game is so damn good that we need to get everybody playing Echo Arena. That's how good it is. And also, Lone Echo, we'll get to Lone Echo in a little while here, but Lone Echo, man, that game can stand on its own without any multiplayer added at all. Lone Echo is bringing the noise. So Echo Arena could stand on its own, and that's what Oculus decided to do. Now, Echo Arena is free for anybody with an Oculus Rift account, but not forever. It's eventually going to become a charged game where you're going to have to pay money for it, but it's free right now. As of me doing this video, it's still free. I'm not sure when it's going to become a paid game that you have to pay for, but even if you don't have an Oculus Rift, if you plan on getting an Oculus Rift in the near future, you might want to go ahead, set up an Oculus account, download Echo Arena, and get the rights to it while it's still free. Now, what would I say about it personally? I do have some personal thoughts about Echo Arena. I love the game. I absolutely love it. The problem is I get in there and I get absolutely destroyed by anybody I play. Anybody I play just smokes me 9 times out of 10. And so when you get into a multiplayer game and you keep getting smoked over and over again, you get discouraged after a while. I mean, it's human nature. I really wish this game had private matches. I wish I could play 2-on-2 with like 3 of my closest buddies in VR. Oh my God, we'd have such a blast. You know, I'd probably play this game for like an hour every single day if I could do that. As far as I'm aware, they don't have private matches quite like this. And so you just get kind of thrown in randomly with other players, which are usually a million times better than you. And I'll tell you what, I've been in certain games where I felt like I was Justin Bieber and I was playing LeBron James one-on-one in basketball. I mean, it was totally unfair. Like, I never touched the flying disc. There were guys doing all kinds of fancy tricks and just made me look like an absolute imbecile, really. I mean, I've never felt so so belittled with my talent level compared to everybody else. But that's how I felt in Echo Arena, and that's really the only negative thing I can say about it. It's wonderful other than that, and I'm hoping that private matches will come at a certain point, or that the matchmaking will get a little bit better, or maybe they'll have official matches and unofficial matches, and the experts can stick in the official category, ranked matches and unranked matches, and let us rookies, let us noobs hang out in a completely different area and stay away from the experts, because it's really no fun to get beat 25-0. Okay, number 10 on the Oculus Top 20 for September 22nd is Dead and Buried. Now, this is a game that has ended up in the top 20 a hell of a lot. This game, I believe, was made by Gunfire Games in collaboration with Oculus Studios. And this was kind of a showpiece game for Touch. This is a game that you get for free when you buy Touch, although I believe the game is also sold separately for $39.99. Now, it has very much a multiplayer focus. This really is not designed to be a single-player game, although there are some shooting galleries. There are some things that you can do as a single player, but it's mostly designed with that multiplayer component where you're ducking and dodging and you're having shootouts in various scenarios, or you're battling some zombies like in a horde mode and things of that nature. I've played this game a little bit here and there. I'm going to be completely honest and say that this game did not absolutely blow me away. I'm not really that into the multiplayer though. And there's people that love this game. They rant and rave about this game all day long. So it's definitely worth checking out. Gunfire Games has done a lot of great work in VR. So I think you have to give the benefit of the doubt. It's a free game. So if you have an Oculus Touch, you owe it to yourself to try out this game and see if you like it. That is Dead and Buried at number 10. Number 9, Elite Dangerous by Frontier Developments. Now, This is the game where if you really want to immerse yourself into a space sim, you want to dive in and you want to feel like you're completely in this world, that's what it does with Elite Dangerous. Now, the downside is you do need a pretty powerful rig to run this game well and to possibly, super sample it or whatever you're trying to do to make it a little bit cleaner, a little bit crisper. But a lot of people just absolutely rave about Elite Dangerous. Now, I'm not really into the space sim type of games, and this one would definitely be a little bit too much for me. I'm more to the arcade style, so like a Eve Valkyrie is a little bit more my flavor personally. But I do have friends, of course, that play Elite Dangerous, and they absolutely swear by it. In fact, Gary from VR Roundtable, this is one of his favorite games in VR, period. And it's a great game. It's highly recommended. That is Elite Dangerous at number 9. Okay, now at number 8, we get to Lucky's Tale. And Lucky's Tale, the amazing thing about this is a launch game and it's still showing up in the top 20. Of course, we also have Chronos and a couple of other games, but Lucky's Tale is another one of these games where I see people, they say it all the time. They're like, oh my God, it's just a platformer. Why would I want to play that in VR? And sometimes I want to take these people and I want to strangle them. Is it wrong for me to want to do that? No, but seriously, the thing about Lucky's Tale is, how many of us have played Mario 64 or we've played Super Mario World or whatever, a classic Nintendo Sega style game of yesteryear? How many of us have played a game like that and have imagined, man, what would it be like if I was inside this world? What would it be like if I was inside the world of Sonic the Hedgehog? What would it be like if I was inside the world of Mario? If I was in the Mushroom Kingdom and I saw the beautiful trees and the color and the waterfalls and the water and the green grass, what would it be like? Well, that's what Lucky's Tale is all about. Now, it's not a first-person game. You're not running around doing platforming yourself, but you're basically in the game. You're kind of like a ghost that is hovering very close to Lucky. You're holding your Xbox controller and you're controlling Lucky and you see him right there. He's so close to you. In fact, if you just stop and you look really close at him, he will actually wave at you and be like, hey, how's it going? Or he'll back up and jump back if you get too close to him. What this game is like, it's like a cartoon, a living, breathing cartoon that is brought to life. You see it happening right in front of you. You're in a colorful, magical world. It really does feel like you're in the Mushroom Kingdom. You're looking around at everything. It's absolutely beautiful. Every time I play this game, I think, man, has Shigeru Miyamoto, has he played this and has he thought just how amazing a Mario could possibly be in VR to put you into the Mushroom Kingdom? Now, this is not Mario. And I will say, if there's a negative thing to say about Lucky's Tale, it's that the game is probably too easy. It's kind of like my child's first platformer. So there's not a lot of difficulty here. There's not a lot of challenge, but it's still a great playthrough. It's still a great romp, and it's completely free. This is absolutely 100% free. You don't even need to buy the Oculus Touch. In fact, you can be an HTC Vive gamer and not even own an Oculus Rift. You can have an Oculus account and you can download this game completely free. This is from Playful. Playful, as we know, of course, they're making Super Lucky's Tale, which apparently is a Microsoft exclusive. Now, we haven't heard yet if Super Lucky's Tale is coming to VR, but hopefully it will. Now, it might come to the Microsoft Mixed Reality platform, so you might have to go to the Microsoft Windows Store to actually get Super Lucky's Tale in VR, but we'll have to see how that works out. But yeah, Lucky's Tale, one of the greatest games on the Oculus Rift, and it is always in the top 20, and here it is at number 8. I've seen it as high as, I think, number 5 and number 4. People still love Lucky's Tale after all this time. Number 7 on the Oculus top 20 is The Climb by Crytek. You know what? This is going to be the first game on this list that I'm going to say, I don't know why. I don't know why this game keeps getting ranked so high, but it does. I think part of it is that Oculus is always pushing the climb. If you go to Oculus's website and you go to experiences, you always see the climb. It's always highlighted. It's rather expensive, to be honest. Now, this is another Crytek game. So, all of us at one time or another have probably wished we could climb Mount Everest or we could scale Half Dome at Yosemite. And what the climb does is it allows average Joes like me and you to kind of get this feeling without the fear that we're going to fall to our death and splatter on the ground. So that's what the climb brings to the table. Honestly, I think the game is priced really high. I'm not really sure why this game keeps showing up in the top 20 and usually showing up in the top 10, but it does. So there must be something really good about it, right? Because submissions keep coming in that have the climb ranked very, very high. So there has to be something that this game is bringing to the table because cream rises to the top. And the climb continues to be in the top 20 month after month after month. It's going to take some time before this game probably slips out of the top 20. That is the climb at number 7. That brings us to number 6. Number 6 is The Mage's Tale by In Exile Entertainment. And I'll tell you what, The Mage's Tale has to be one of my favorite games of this year. And one of the reasons I would put it in my favorite games of 2017 is because this is a full-featured game. So many VR games that we play end up being almost like a little sampler, like a tease, like a tech demo, not fully featured games that have length and depth and have obviously had a lot of care poured into it. But The Mage's Tale is the exception. It is that. It does have a lot of depth. You're going to play this game for a long time. You're not going to play this game for 2 hours and then the game is over. The graphics are beautiful. The gameplay is solid. There's a lot to love about this game. Absolutely drop dead gorgeous. Beautiful sound. It's got great voice work. This is one of the standout titles. I have to give a lot of respect to Oculus because Oculus has put their money where their mouth is. They've given big amounts of money to high-end developers to make some really primetime games, and The Mage's Tale is an absolute example of this. If you really loved Vanishing Realms, but you wanted something with a little more depth and a little more bite and something that lasted a little bit longer, maybe a little bit better graphics, that's what you're getting with The Mage's Tale. There's only a handful of solid RPG-style games in VR right now, and The Mage's Tale is probably at the top of the list. I mean, it's up there. Vanishing Realms, Carnage Chronicles. There's a handful of high-end RPGs, and The Mage's Tale could be the best one of the bunch. I mean, it really could. And it definitely has the most length and the most depth and the most polish of probably any of those RPGs as well. Now, this isn't a cheap game. It's $39.99. This is one of those primetime games, but I'm telling you, there's like 6-7 hours of quality play here, and I really love The Mage's Tale. I think it's a wonderful game, and I'm hopeful that In Exile Entertainment, they have a great game engine here. They could just polish this, and there could be a Mage's Tale 2 that could be even better. So I'm definitely looking forward to that if that ultimately ends up happening. Okay, so we have made it to the top 5. Now, the top 5, we're talking cream of the crop for the Oculus Rift. We are at number 5, and number 5 is Rec Room. And Rec Room is by Against Gravity. Now, Rec Room is completely free. I believe this game actually started off on the HTC Vive, and it then came over to the Oculus Rift. And this game is completely free. And what it is Against Gravity, what they're doing here is they're trying to create a social space, a gathering space for VR gamers to come together, play a bunch of goofy little mini games, basically, some of which are incredible. The paintball game, I mean, I don't know how many hours I lost to the paintball game, but there's so many little mini games. They're always adding new things. And normally you get in here and there's a lot of very friendly people. Sometimes there is some harassment that's going on. You do have some griefers that kind of like to screw around in VR. So you can see the downside of coming together in VR and having people do some obscene things. But for the most part, most of the people in Rec Room are absolutely wonderful people to spend time with and to have a lot of fun with. And there's great camaraderie and it's a great community. And it's free. Rec Room is free and all of it works so well. It's so highly polished. There's so much to enjoy here. You really can't go wrong. I mean, just go ahead and download this and give it a try, and you'll probably find that this is one of your favorite VR games, period. It's easily one of the favorite multiplayer games I've ever played in VR. There's just so much that Against Gravity is bringing to the table. Obviously, I would have to assume that Against Gravity, the developer of this game, at some point they're going to look to monetize this, and they'll probably do it with skins and stuff like that in a non-obtrusive way, and that's perfectly fine. What they're trying to do is they're trying to build this community. They're trying to build this collection of games that you can play and experiences you can have collectively, and it's really high quality. Can't say enough good things about Rec Room. That is number 5. Now, number 4, Arizona Sunshine. Now, Arizona Sunshine, this is one of the big ones, okay? This is one of the big games. I remember my first thoughts about Arizona Sunshine was this was supposed to be a big HTC Vive game. It was in the earliest HTC Vive advertisements. We didn't see anything from this game for such a long time. A lot of people assumed that this game got canceled, but then all of a sudden, bam, we heard Arizona Sunshine was coming, but we also heard it was coming to the Oculus Rift, and it was coming to the HTC Vive on the same day. Vertigo Games were designing it for both the Oculus Touch and for the HTC Vive. And now this game has also hit PlayStation VR as well. So it's available on all 3 major platforms. Vertigo Games definitely has one of the shining examples of what we have in VR. Now, this game is somewhat of a horror game, right? I mean, you have these zombies coming at you. It's a little bit of a horror type game, but it's called Arizona Sunshine, and that's a big part of it. You're in the sun, it's bright, sunshine is everywhere, you're in Arizona, it has that look, it has that vibe, and there's something about being in the sunshine and it being so colorful and so bright, but you're also shooting these bloodthirsty zombies, but it doesn't have as much of a horror element because of the fact that you do have that sunshine. Now, of course, there are parts of this game where you'll get inside a cave and it gets a hell of a lot darker and a little bit freakier. So there could be some gamers out there that might start off playing this, and then when they get into the cave, they're like, oh shit, I can't handle this. This is a little bit too scary for me. That could possibly happen with Arizona Sunshine. But the thing about this game that puts it in this elite status of being one of the best VR games out there is the fact that if you want to be inside a Walking Dead scenario, like if you want to step into the world of The Walking Dead, this is probably the closest you're going to get, because you feel like you're there, you're walking around, you see these cop cars, you can open the car doors, you can look for ammo, you can look for extra guns, and then you have these swarms of zombies that come at you. And the beautiful thing about these zombies is they look different. They don't look carbon copied. They have real personality to them. It adds a lot. It really brings a lot to the table. That's Arizona Sunshine at number 4. Number 3 is Super Hot. Super Hot. Yeah, so Super Hot was a game when it first hit. Oh my God, this was the sensation in VR when it first came out for the Oculus Rift. We could not stop talking about Super Hot. I think it hit number 1 on some of these charts. In fact, it's actually number 1 on the HTC Vive chart right now, which is interesting, but that's just the way it happened. But the thing about Super Hot, the way I like to explain Super Hot is, imagine if The Matrix and Groundhog Day had a baby, because that's what this game is. A lot of people will look at footage of Super Hot and they're like, oh, this is a shooter. This is like an action shooter. Not really. It's not really an action shooter. Yes, there's action. Yes, you are shooting, but it's actually more of a puzzle game than anything. It's similar to The Matrix and to Max Payne because you have the slowing of time effect. And then it also has that Groundhog Day factor where you have to repeat scenarios over and over and over again to get it just right. And what happens is you end up repeating these scenarios a million times and you end up becoming like an absolute expert, and you can pull off these incredible, unbelievable moves, John Wick style, taking out that guy, grabbing a coffee cup, throwing it, smashing that guy in the face. And it has the gameplay style where you die right away, but you can start instantly. Bam, you're right back into it. So you can keep going over and over and over again. This is a great game if you want like 20 minutes of high impact entertainment. You can pop on Super Hot. You can get 20 minutes of really exciting entertainment. Now, the game is relatively short when you work your way all the way through it, but it's going to take time to work your way all the way through it and to master everything. And this is a great game too. If you have someone that came over to your house, they want to see what VR is all about, Super Hot is a great game to throw them in because it only takes a few minutes. They get the idea of how this thing works and they're like, wow, this is so freaking cool. I'm in like this John Woo simulator type thing here. A Jet Li simulator was Super Hot. Definitely a mixture of the Matrix and Groundhog Day. Can't say enough good things about Super Hot. The other thing about Super Hot, it's available on all 3 VR platforms. And the PlayStation VR version is actually very, very good. I was really amazed by how good the PlayStation VR version of Super Hot is. Of course, the Oculus version was the original version. It was the first one out, and it is ranked number 3 in the top 20 Oculus Rift games. Okay, guys, we've gotten to the top 2 games now, and number 2 is Lone Echo. And man, this is a power-packed game right here. Lone Echo, I don't want to give it away, but I don't know, man. I'm kind of conflicted. Lone Echo could be my favorite VR game up to this point in time in the year 2017. I'm not sure there is another game that can beat Lone Echo. Now, we haven't gotten to the number 1 game yet, and of course, we will get to the number 1 game right after this, but I got to talk for a little bit about Lone Echo. Now, the thing that is so amazing about Lone Echo is when I think about my entire life of playing video games, what I really want from a video game is I want to be inside a movie, okay? I want to be inside a movie. Like, I want to be Indiana Jones. I want to be in the movie. I want to be running away from that giant boulder. I want to be slashing my whip and doing crazy things. I want to be in the movie of Star Wars. I want to be the guy walking down the Death Star hallways. I want to be the guy that turns off the power generator so that the Millennium Falcon can get out of there. I want to be in the movie. That's what I want. That's my dream. And that's what VR is getting us closer and closer to. And I would say the closest we've ever come to an interactive movie is Lone Echo. And I have to give absolutely mad props to Ready at Dawn because they absolutely killed it on this game. Ready at Dawn gets a hell of a lot of shit for the Order 1886, which a lot of people feel is nothing but graphics and just an empty shell of a game, but incredibly great graphics. Well, that may be the case for the Order 1886, but it is not the case for Lone Echo. Lone Echo is absolutely fantastic. In Lone Echo, you are a robot. You're not even the main character of the game. Olivia is the main character. You play a supporting role to this human character named Olivia that really looks and feels human. She's right there, man. This is the most uncanny valley type thing I've encountered, but it's not a bad uncanny valley. I mean, this person almost seems real. She's floating there inches away from you, and you feel like you're occupying space with this other human character. And you're in this sci-fi world. This is like a movie that you're a part of. Now, what a lot of people will say, if they want to complain about this game, they'll say, well, ultimately, if you really boil it down, all you're doing is you're moving this lever, you're moving that lever, you're using your blowtorch here, you're using your blowtorch there. You're not really doing much of anything. There's no real combat. blah, 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 blah. And all of that is true, and that is valid criticism. But at the same time, I've been inside this game and I've been floating in zero G out in space, just floating along, and I see my shadow floating along because the sun is on the other side of me. Oh my God, I really feel like I'm out here in space. I lose myself in this game. There's a certain part of this game where it almost becomes slightly horror for a very brief period of time. And oh my goodness, it really caught me off guard. And the reason I got so startled when that happened, I don't want to completely spoil it, but I really got startled by something. And the reason I was so startled by it is because I had bought into this world. I will play this game and I will forget about the outside world. I will forget about the room that I'm standing in. I'll forget about what time of day it is. I get lost. I'm in Lone Echo. I'm in a sci-fi movie. It's the closest we've ever gotten. Mad props, absolutely mad props to Ready at Dawn. I have to hope, oh my goodness, I have to hope that Oculus will work with Ready at Dawn and maybe create another game that kind of uses the same game engine. Maybe they could put it in a different world, but it could still be a space type of thing because they've got something good going on here. The locomotion is incredible. I mean, you can move all around this world. It feels so incredibly natural. The human character, Olivia, is absolutely fantastic. We have to keep pushing these boundaries. And Ready at Dawn, man, they've pushed it farther than anybody. Lone Echo is incredible. And you know what? I will say this, Lone Echo on these rankings, it actually got really close to number one. It didn't quite get there, didn't end up on enough submission lists and high enough to take that number one spot away from the game that we're going to talk about next. But man, it got close. So Lone Echo is incredibly powerful. It's $39.99. This is a $40 game, but I believe it is worth absolutely every single penny. And even if you have an HTC Vive, you don't have an Oculus Rift, play this game through Revive. It is too damn good not to play. Everybody has to play Lone Echo. This is the shining example for VR right now, in my opinion. But we have to get to the number one overall Oculus Rift game. Now, these rankings were updated on September 22nd. The number one game for Oculus Rift by your submissions, Robo Recall. Robo Recall by Epic Games. And I'll tell you what, Robo Recall has been number one since VR game rankings began. VR game rankings got started in late April of this year. Robo Recall was already available, and it's amazing to me that Robo Recall has held down the number one spot. For all this time, Robo Recall has held down the number one spot, and there's a good reason why it has. We always ask for a AAA game. We ask for polish, and that's what Robo Recall is delivering. I mean, this is Epic Games. They know what they're doing. Oculus apparently hooked them up with about $10 million and said, hey, make us a banging VR game. And Epic Games delivered. The thing about this game is you get into the world of Robo Recall, and the comedy is just great. I mean, there's so much comedy. It's so fun. The robots say such entertaining things as you're blasting them and ripping their arms off and ripping their legs off and smashing them with their own arms. And it's hilarious. It's truly hilarious, but the gameplay is so fast and so smooth, and it feels so good. Robo Recall is an absolute joy. And Robo Recall is one of these games where if you have a buddy coming over, they've never seen VR before, you put them into Robo Recall and they're like, holy shit, I didn't know this type of thing was possible. One of the things about Robo Recall that I find so cool about it is it has this like Sega arcade vibe to me. Like I really feel like Sega's AM2 unit, Yu Suzuki back in the day, it almost feels like they made a VR game and that this is like 1996 and it's a VR game somehow in 1996. It has kind of a little bit of a comic book flair when you're earning points and you're doing combos and you're juggling the robots as you're shooting them and blasting them. There's so many different guns to use. Oh man, it is just so fun, and it's great exercise. A lot of these VR games, one of the benefits of a lot of these VR games is you get up off of your butt, you're moving around, you're involved, you're moving your arms, you're moving your limbs, you're grabbing the robots, you're smashing them into each other. One thing I love to do is I love to just grab these robots, throw them up in the air, and then try to juggle them with my guns as long as possible. I absolutely love it. You feel so powerful. You feel like a superhero. You feel like a god practically. That's one of the nice things about VR is it can give you that power fantasy. And the difference between this and Lone Echo, I mean, they are both AAA games, no question about it. But the nice thing about Robo Recall is you don't have to be in a special mood to play Robo Recall. If you're going to play Lone Echo, you kind of have to have like at least an hour and a half, I think, to set aside. Robo Recall, you don't need that. You only need like 25 minutes and you can get that quick burst of action, similar to Superhot. Graphics are great. The sound is great. Oh man, the music reminds me of like the early 90s a little bit. It has kind of this arcade Sega style. There's something about it. Much love to Epic Games. Much love to everybody that designed Robo Recall. Such a good quality title. We have to hope that this engine will be used for other games. And there is some good news in that department. Marvel Powers United VR is using the Robo Recall engine. If you've seen some of the videos for Marvel's Powers United VR, it's actually using the Robo Recall engine. Sanzaru Games took that game engine, they've modified it a bit, changed some things here and there, but they're basically using that game engine. And it's really exciting to see what could come out of it because it's such a good engine. Epic Games did such a great job with Robo Recall. I have to hope maybe we'll see a Robo Recall number 2, or maybe we'll see another big game from Epic Games in the not too distant future. But that's going to go ahead and do it, guys, for the Oculus Top 20 rankings. These rankings were updated on September 22nd. Now, if you disagree with this top 20, that's great. We love it. We want you to disagree with this top 20. Go ahead and leave comments about what differences you would change in the top 20. But that's what this is all about. Go to www.vrgamerankings.com and submit your own rankings. Submit your own rankings. Make your voice heard. The more Oculus Rift gamers that we have submitting their rankings, the better our top 100 is going to be. The more representative it will be of the community, and you owe it to the other VR consumers out there. Help these guys out, man. If you guys can send in, it doesn't have to be a top 20. You can send in your top 10. You can send in your top 5. If you can send in a top 20, that's wonderful. I do know that it takes a little bit of time to sit down and actually figure out what are my top 20 games. And then to put them into exact order, it takes some time. You have to sit down, you have to think about it for a while. So if you want to do a top 5, a top 10, hey, it's all good. We love it. Anything that you can bring to the table, we will take it and we plug it into our system, and it just helps our rankings get better. And it helps it for new gamers, new VR gamers that just jumped on the Oculus bandwagon. I mean, the price has dropped. There's so much good stuff coming out to the Oculus Rift. It's a wonderful thing. So let's keep this going. We need your rankings. We need your support. And that's going to go ahead and do it for our very first episode, our very first video, actually, on the VR Game Rankings YouTube channel. So thanks a lot, guys. And we'll be back again, of course, with more VR Game Rankings ranking videos.